So how do we teach gap down backer? This is where I get into it's a progression. Okay. Gap down backer, G dash D dash B. What I teach the kids is this, that the dash in a rule means it's a progression. Okay. Gap down backer is a blocking rule used by football teams from the youth level all the way up to NFL and everything in between. The first word of the rule is gap. That means the offensive lineman should look in their inside gap, and if there's a defender in there, that's who they block. Rule's over. Boom. Your rule is gap. Because there's somebody in your gap. You don't go on to the down. You don't worry about if there's a guy on the other side of the gap defender, you're not worried about him. Because it's a progression, you block the first thing. Okay? So the first word in the rule is gap. That means the OL should look in their inside gap, and if there's somebody there, boom, they've got him. Okay? For instance, the tackle, his rule's gap down backer. Is anything in the gap? No. Anything down? No. Moves on to backer. And it's usually going to be the Mike or the backside backer. Okay? Unless there's a backer here, it comes flying up, inserting himself. Okay, look at the guard. He looks inside. Anything in his gap? No. Okay, anything down? Yes, he goes down. Look out here at the tight end, the blue. Okay, his gap down backer, let's say. He looks into something in his gap? Yes, boom, he blocks that. He doesn't go in here to get the backer. And it's like the train analogy. They get on a track. Whatever's on that track, they're going to block it. They're not going to chase. They're not going to jump off in the field, and go run something over. All right, so gap down backer. First word is gap. You block whatever's in your gap. Next word is down. If nothing's in your gap, you move on to down in your rule. It means if no one is in the gap, check to see if there's a defender aligned on the offensive lineman to your inside. Okay, if yes, block him. For instance, the guard, nothing in the gap. So he looks down. This is what down means. It's on the next lineman. Now, if he is over here shading, that's not your guy. You'll go on to backer. If he's over here shading. Finally, the third word is backer. And if you've got nothing in your gap, nothing down, like the tackle here, the red circle, nothing in your gap, nothing down, block down on backer. It is a track block. Okay, we'll talk about that. All right, now, more on the progression aspect of it. And we've been big wristband people. Okay? We've been big wristband people for years. And we're not always wristband. But used to when it was wristband, I'd say you look on your wristband like we call blue one. You look down at blue one. And let's say the tackle rule is gap down backer. I teach them this is a progression. Okay, it is a progression. So what they do is they go in the order we just talked about. The first word of the rule is gap. Okay, that means anything in the gap, you've got it. To the gap inside of you. You're not looking outside. Okay, all right. We teach a 45-degree angle on the down block. Okay, in gap down backer, the blockers are only concerned with what's inside of them. It doesn't matter. Okay, and like we said, okay, for those of y'all at the clinic, you remember this. I said, if your rule is gap down backer and you look inside and there's nothing inside of you and you look outside and they got all 11 guys lined up outside of you, you better block your happy ass down. Okay? And I use absurd analogies because they get it. I've used them in the classroom for years. I use absurd analogies on the football field. They'll laugh about it, but they'll remember it. I even tell them, I said, if Jesus comes back during that play, he better find you blocking down. Okay? Because that's your rule. So if anything's in that gap, you block down. Go on with the progression. Down, which means no one's in the gap. Check to see if there's a defender aligned on the offensive lineman beside you, inside of you. If yes, block what's down. If not, go to the third word of the rule, the third part of the progression, backer. The offensive lineman will block down or inside toward the ball, usually getting a backside backer, but sometimes it's the Mike in a 3-3 or 5-3 or 3-5, whatever you want to call it. Big thing to remember, don't let stuff cross your face, especially a backer. Okay? Now, your track may bend a little bit. Okay? But don't go chasing. okay? And you got to block the backer if nothing is in the gap and nothing is down, okay? Right now is where I'd stop and say, any questions? Can't do that. Okay, sorry. You've got to teach them to wear blinders. Wear blinders, all right? Specifically, let's say the right tackle needs to have a blinder on his right side so he can't look outside. He doesn't see what's there. He's got to be focused on what's inside. What's inside must be blind to those outside of them when their rule is gap down backer, because everything is in here. Everything is in here. Everything that matters to them is inside. If it's power right, okay, their rules gap down backer. They're only concerned with what's inside of them. If it's head up them, so now this is where I'm trying to maybe answer questions that you didn't ask that you might have. What if there is a 4I right here? We consider that inside. We do. Because usually we don't have a guy that's going to rip across that 4I's face. Okay, there's a 4I. For instance, right here, it's kind of a 7 inside of the blue, the tight end. That's down. Excuse me, that's gap. He's in your gap. If he's shading your inside, okay, get him. Okay, the same thing if you got a nose. If you're blocking back with the center and there's a nose shaded right here, the center will get him. That's kind of where the nose, if it's to the inside of your nose, you got it. Okay? So what do we mean by gap? Remember, in gap down backer, the blockers are only concerned with the defenders inside them or the ones in their gap. In this case, we got the blue guy right here. The blue OL has a man in his gap, so he blocks him. Okay? He's in the C gap. This guy's gap is right here. If his rule is gap down backer, then he's going to block the guy in his gap if there's one there. Okay? That's what we mean by gap. The tackle, the red guy, has nothing in his gap, nothing down, he's gone. The guard, nothing in his gap, but there's something down, the nose. So the green guy blocking down on that green nose right there. Center, nothing in the gap, nothing down. Really, for sake of argument, he's going to the backside backer. Okay? Remember to stress this to him. That's what I said about blinders a while ago on one side. Never block out on gap down backer, regardless. Because I'm going to tell you, if their defense is so unsound that this rule doesn't work, then the defense has got a lot more issues. Okay? Block your rules. Block your rules. I got a thing that I call it BYRD, B-Y-R-D, BYRD. Block your rule, damn it. B-Y-R-D. Okay? When a kid doesn't block his rule, all I got to do is say, hey, dude, BYRD. All right, what do we mean by down? Okay, gap down backer again, line. The blockers are only concerned with the defenders inside or in their gap. Okay, again, we talked about it right here. The right guard, green, has no one in his gap, but there is a man down from him on the center. That's who he's got. Nothing in the gap. Man is down. That's who you got. Okay? You're not looking out here. You're not wondering what's going on out here. You got a blinder on one side of your face. You can't see what's happening outside. It's irrelevant. Go back to old Bill Belichick saying, do your job. That's what BYRD means. Do your job. You get everybody. And what we mean by backer? If an offensive lineman has no one in his gap, no one down on the next man inside, he blocks to the inside to the linebacker, usually a Mike against a 3-3, 3-5, 5-3 defense, an odd defense, usually the Mike or the backside backer. If it's a 3-4, he'll go to the backside backer. Now, that's not to say if let's say it's a 3-4, and you got a backer here. If he steps up on the track, you don't void him. And I ask the kids this. I said, that train over there, it runs near our football field. I said, if there's a cow on the tracks when the train comes through, what does the train do to it? They said, they run it over. I said, exactly. Everybody's having hamburger tonight. Okay? If there's a cow in the field out there grazing, what's the train do? Well, nothing. It can't jump its tracks. Okay? So you're not going to jump your tracks to go block a linebacker. But if that linebacker crosses your track, Like in a 3-4 situation, there's a linebacker here, and it fires here and comes across your track, blow it up. That's your dude. That's a cow on the tracks. Get him. Okay? But if nothing's there, you're going all the way to Mike. What happens if this Mike stunts right here? Okay? It's like MARTA buses in Atlanta. If you miss one, don't worry about it. There'll be another one by in just a minute. Linebackers are like MARTA buses. Don't chase them. They're not going to stop before you know how. You get bus left, you bus left.